Hi guys, little different this time. This week we are going to try to kill Lush. Never have to buy from Lush again. I am the type of guy, and I'm sure you guys have people in your life that are like this, that are like, why do you need to buy that? You could just make it yourself and save a bunch of money. And 90% of the time I'm wrong, and Kayla will tell you that, but this time I am right. We can make the same thing that you find at Lush, super quick, super cheap. This is all you need. And half of this stuff is probably already in your kitchen. And it's only going to cost you startup cost, maybe $15. But some of this stuff, like these essential oils, are going to last you longer than you're going to be alive. Unless you're making a bunch, which if you do, then you'll really appreciate this video. So let's start over. This is a bath bomb I already made. And I will show you closer. But I'll show you how it works and everything, but it's perfect size, and if you don't want to make it into a ball, which gets a little complicated, I've got another way we can make it that keeps it simple, but it does get a little powdery. Essential oils. These things cost about $4 a piece, and you can pick them up at any bath section of a craft store. So we're talking Michael's, Hobby Lobby, it runs the gamut. I have grapefruit and honey almond, and I really recommend the grapefruit. I didn't think I would like it as much as I really do. It's an awesome smell. The reason why these are $4 is you only need 2 drops for a nice, like 2 or 3 of these. It's really overpowering. They're really condensed, so these will go a long way. So the next thing you're going to want is citric acid. You can find this at Walmart, Meijer's. It's in the canning section. So don't forget, canning section. It's used to preserve things like tomatoes and stuff. It's totally, you eat it a lot in a lot of food. So totally easy to find. One of these will only run you about $2 to $3. So far we're up to 6. Pure baking soda, the regular kind. You get Arm & Hammer. You can get that Arm & Hammer, or you can get the Meijer brand. Here's a little trick. Baking soda is like salt. It is a chemical compound. There's purity levels of it. But for the most part, baking soda is baking soda. Next thing, cornstarch. Another thing you might have already. And here you got to make a call. You can either use canola, vegetable, or my favorite, which is the coconut oil. Coconut oil's really useful because one, it's a craze right now, right? It's got coconut oil in it. It's good for your skin, makes your teeth whiter, does everything. Saves on taxes, I don't know. But coconut oil also hardens in a solid state, which will help keep your shape of your ball once you go to freeze it if you're doing the ball method. But coconut oil, vegetable oil, cornstarch, baking soda, citric acid, essential oils, and last is food coloring and maybe some sprinkles if you want it. This is how to make it pretty. If you notice, all of this stuff you can eat, and that makes this awesome. Why? Because there's a really good Greek phrase, which is if it doesn't go in the mouth, it doesn't go on the skin. And that has been around for a long time. I heard it when I was in Croatia. And what's cool is that it totally makes sense. Your skin absorbs everything you put on it. So if you put something you're not going to eat, your body's still taking that in. This is really awesome. It makes your skin silky smooth. And you can mess with the variations between these 3 because these are your main ingredients. And it really does work exactly like a Lush bath bomb, but for nearly half the price. So all in all, if you're going to make your first one, it's probably going to cost you around $15. But you can make 10 of them with all of these supplies. Maybe a little more citric acid and baking powder, or baking soda. You can use powder, and it's going to work just the same. So it's really cheap. I think once I figured it out, you're only spending maybe $1.75 per ball, and it's the giant, enormous ones, compared to $4 or $5 at Lush. So you are saving a hefty sum, especially if you love taking baths like me and Kayla. So the first thing you're going to need is baking soda, and you need half a cup. Ta-da! The next thing is a 1/4 cup of citric acid. Now, if you're making just one batch in these proportions, you're totally fine. Citric acid, all of this stuff is totally fine. But I did happen recently to make a giant batch of this. And it was really, this stuff kind of irritated my nose a lot in that large amount because I was working with it for a full day. So if you're doing a huge batch, it might help you to put on a face mask. Next thing is a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. See the powder? So now that you've got all these in, you're just going to mix them in, and you can do this with your hand or with a spatula or something, and you'll start seeing it powdering up, and that's mostly the cornstarch and things, and that's what can really irritate your nose. So here's where you can choose if you want to use your coconut oil or your vegetable or canola oil. I'm going to go with the canola oil this time, just to try it out. But like I said before, I really do enjoy the coconut oil, and you need 1 tablespoon of oil. And just pour that right on in. So now you just mix it all up. And it's gonna be a little bit like cottage cheesy looking when it's all said and done. And I found using a spoon is kind of hard because the oil wants to clump, so I ended up just using my hand most of the time. So I invented a technique, and I'm sure there might be a proper way or a better way, and if you know more, go ahead. But what I found is picking it up and kind of like rubbing it will really help get the oil mixed throughout because it likes to clump, and it'll start getting fluffier and fluffier as the oil grabs onto the 3 ingredients. You have to be careful about mixing the wet ingredients in, because as you mix it in, you can start that chemical reaction between the baking soda and the citric acid that gives your bath that nice bubble. It should look fluffy, like real fluffy cottage cheese when you're done, and it will be real light and airy. What's going to happen is when we pack that down, it's really going to hold well. Now's when you add your essential oils. I'm going to use grapefruit for this one, and you really only need about 2 or 3 drops. But if you really love the smell, you can add a few more. So I'm going to go for 4. And you can mix that in the same way you already did. One thing I really love about this is as I'm working with my hands, it's like softening my hands, and it really makes my hands smooth, and they smell great for the rest of the day. Now that we're done, this is already ready to go in the bath, but let's make it a little prettier than just white. So grab yourself a second bowl and subdivide out some of your powder. Set that off to the side and grab your food coloring. We're going to go for blue for this one. I found that you can use the regular drip, the liquid food coloring. The problem is because it's a liquid, it will start making your powder react to the liquid in it. But the gel, you do have to use a lot to get bright color, but it doesn't make the powder react as quickly, and you can really work it in there in the colors. Now that we have our blue mixed up, we can go ahead and mix the other color. Now, blue would make the water turn blue, but if you mix another color, so I'm going to do red, it's going to make the water turn purple, even though the 2 colors you're seeing are red and blue. So just like science class, how much you have of 2 colors will mix in the water and make a nice color. You can also pack the center of one of these balls, like this one has a bright red center, and that will make it so even though it looks white, when you put it in the bath, that's another color surprise that you can add for a little more fun into your bath bomb. So again, now we're ready. If we wanted to stop here, put this in a mason jar, cap the lid, and give it as a gift, or just use it for ourselves as a scoop, now's the time to stop and do that. But I'm going to show you how to make it so it's compressed, and that way you can give it as a gift or just drop it in as you want. So the next thing we're going to need that I didn't mention before is you're going to need one of these Christmas orbs, and you can get them year-round at Hobby Lobby. I could only find them year-round at Hobby Lobby, but you might be able to find them around Christmas time at other places. But it's just a mold that goes inside one another. What you're going to do then is take your mold and start filling it in a little bit here. Press down gently to pack it in a little, and go around the edges and knock the stuff on the edges off into the middle, so when we add our next layer of red, you can see it from the outside of the ball. Once you have one half done, go ahead and repeat it on the second half. Once you have your two halves all the way full, this is the easy part. Just start pressing together, and they're not going to go all the way together, and then you're going to kind of turn them, and that's going to get rid of the excess material until the two halves start matching up. At some point, you're going to have to go around like I am and just kind of clean the seam, and then push as hard as you can without breaking it. I've broken one of these before by overdoing it, but it doesn't need to be super, super hard. Just a little pressure, and hold it for a few seconds. And that's going to go ahead and make our awesome colored ball, and it's got all these lovely little lines on them. You can also add in sparkles, like sprinkles on food, to make it even look like sparkly. And you can also hide something in the middle for kids, so if you got a little toy trinket or something, you can do that and make bath time even that much more fun. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab some rubber bands, and we're just going to loop the outside to keep the pressure on while we put it in the fridge to chill. Now that we have it wrapped, we just need to go place it in the freezer for about 5 minutes. Don't overdo it. Just 5 minutes to let it chill and harden and congeal a little so we can pop it out. Another trick is you could take a little oil and place it along the inside of your mold to help it pop out, but not too much again. And we're almost done. So, to show you how it looks, here's some of the leftover, because you always end up with a little too much. And it's going to sparkle and start dissolving. And as it dissolves, it's going to make a nice purpley sky color with the nice little clouds from all the little bubbles. And it's a nice purple color. And that's from just the red and the blue. And if you put gold flakes, it will dissolve the sugar and put a little bit of gold on top, and it floats, and it makes it look amazing. I really did like that, but I didn't have any in the house when we were making this video today. And see how it keeps sparkling, and it's super soft, and it smells absolutely amazing with that grapefruit. All right, moment of truth. This is always the hardest part, is popping them out without having them get destroyed. So, I don't line up these two little holes. They have a little Christmas where they go together, so I can kind of pry them apart. And very carefully, we're going to lift one off. And ta-da! We've got ourselves a bath bomb. And the lines are there. We've got all the nice colors. And we could take this, pop it in a gift. It does get a little fragile, like you can't just beat it. It's not they use a ton press when they make theirs at Lush. So theirs is a little more rock solid, but this is absolutely ready to give or to use. There you go, guys. That is how you make my super secret gift of a Lush bath bomb. And that is really awesome. There is a really, all of this stuff, blah, 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 blah. The next thing you'll find in your canning section at like Walmart or Meijer's, it is citric acid. It needs to be citric acid. Ball makes some other things that are like preservatives, and it has citric acid in it. Dang you, clock.